Hello and welcome to the Signature Show on AIT. I must thank you for joining us at this time every Sunday on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT. I am Nwabweze Njok. Now the question is this: what is the spice of life? They say it is variety. Now, following from the many suggestions from many of you who follow us on our different social media handles, we have decided to introduce more variety to this program as a means of spicing your viewing experience. Now, the first addition to this program, which we bring to you, is The Conversation, a brand new addition to what you get on signaturetv.com and on all the other social media handles. It is an admix of music and serious conversations on topical issues of politics and governance, interesting personalities, innovations in science and technology, education and health, happy living, love, adventure, and success. Now, the program will be your everyday guide to all that is happening around you. It will be coming every day to you. Not only me, I have my friends who will be doing that with me every day, and at least we'll keep you posted on developments in Nigeria. All we ask from you is follow us on all our handles. Now, also with effect from this week, we bring you great games on the African Nations Cup, holding in that pyramid nation of Egypt. Now, for those games, you stand a chance of winning wonderful prizes from us. My producer says you can win as much as 400,000 naira. Can there be a better deal? All your contribution is follow us on all our social media handles, and we bring you games on the African Nations Cup, which kicks off in Egypt on the 21st of June 2019. Now, you know we have a running opinion poll on ministers who should not return to President Muhammadu Buhari's next cabinet, come May 29, 2019. Well, over 8,000 of you have been viewing the site and following on what we ought to do, and about 1,800 of you have also made their opinions known. Now, this Sunday, I'm going to tell you how each of the ministers stand, and of course, you'll be seeing the graphic details on your screen. And this is how the different ministers affected stand in the opinion on Nigerians, whether they should be or should not be in President Muhammadu Buhari's next cabinet. Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, has the highest number of Nigerians who say he should not return to President Muhammadu Buhari's next cabinet. He has 554. With Minister of Petroleum, President Buhari himself, having 455 Nigerians who said he should drop that portfolio. Now, Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dampazao, has the next number. If you are following us, Minister of Information has 333. Let me see, Women Affairs, Aisha has about 33. Just, you can see them running on your screen now. These are people whom Nigerians say should not return to President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet. Now, one thing is clear. Nigerians are giving their reasons why the president should not retain these ministers in the next cabinet. In subsequent editions of this program, because we'll be updating this every Sunday, we'll be giving you the reasons Nigerians have adduced for asking the president to drop these people. Now, for our conversation this Sunday, we'll be talking with the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, Peter Ameh. We're looking at how Nigerian political parties are synthesizing issues that should occupy our political conversation. Not just political conversation. Synthesizing issues based on which Nigerian electorate should endorse, should cast their votes for any political party. We think that issues are not driving Nigerian politics. Governance emerges by all manner of processes that exclude issues. So, Peter Ameh will be conversing with us on how to make Nigerian political parties perform this function. And of course, at the end of this program, or towards the end, we'll bring you our corruption story segment. I will ask you to stay tuned and enjoy every segment of this program. We'll be back shortly.
Daily reports of killing across Nigeria seem to have reduced the Nigerian life into meaningless numbers, which no longer woke pain or deep sense of loss anytime a life is lost. The spread of these killings from the theater of Islamic insurgency in the northeast, the zone of banditry in Zamfara and Katsina states, the farmers' elders clashes in the Benue, Plateau access to the political hotbeds of Kogi, Bayelsa and River states, reflects the unabating challenge of insecurity confronting Nigeria. The Nigerian military, despite its exploits, has admitted that its hands are full and its resources spread very thin. The police, the prime internal security agency, says it is underfunded, under-provisioned, and its human resources cannot match the task of policing the country effectively. The security seems to dash all expectations that the ordinary Nigerian who is at the receiving end of these security challenges could be out of the anxiety which it generates anytime very soon. In addition to this life-threatening situation is the announcement in the closing months of 2018 that Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world, with the highest number of out-of-school children and the highest unemployment rates. And to add to this gloom, President Muhammadu Buhari has advised Nigerians to brace up for other times ahead. But once upon a time, Nigerians were counted as some of the happiest people in the world. As the current situation and the prospects of other times ahead wiped the smile off the faces of Nigerians.
I'm trying to have hope, but I really think it can be better.
I think the economy is really going downward instead of upward.
I know a lot of people who say that the economy is bad right now, that people are suffering, people are hungry and all of that, get aware of that. But my own personal view is that the president hasn't done badly in terms of the economy. Yes. Okay. I think there's a remarkable improvement in some aspect of the economy.
Our country right now, and the average Nigerians are not enjoying, only the people at the top are enjoying. And the only thing we could do for ourselves now is to ignore our government and actually do what we want to do for ourselves. We have to stand up for ourselves.
So, from what and where do these Nigerians find the resilience to ignore everything that attempts to blight their happiness and turn their everyday into a celebration?
Every Nigerian is a survivor person, because we Nigerians, we have this basic survival instinct that we try to get the best out of every situation. As a person, what makes me happy is, like, right now I'm going about my business and I just pray that, okay, people I deal with are not as affected by the economy as people who really cost it.
I mean, happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. You have to choose to be happy. Different things can make you happy. Personally, family, friends, support, God, the faith I have in God makes me happy, keeps me going. Every day of my life I'm happy, I'm a happy girl. I do what I want to do to progress in life, and with love, I have love. So when you have love, you're happy.
It is no wonder that many pundits say Nigeria are the easiest people to govern. If they can find happiness despite all the daunting security, economic and political odds stacked against them, then a little governance and a commitment to happiness would turn the country into a paradise of smiling people. Samson Orimoloye, reporting for Signature News.
If you look on this table, you will see two holy books, the Quran on my right and the Bible on my left. Because of the sensibilities of both the Christian and the Muslim to his holy books, I've elected only to make references to them and not keep flipping them over. Maybe I'm not really qualified to touch them because my name is Mwabu Zenjoko. But before I introduce what we're going to discuss, let me introduce my guest. My guest this afternoon is Peter Ameh. Peter Ameh is the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, IPAC. Peter, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
You may wonder why you are in the field of politics, but I'm putting on my table the two holy books. This is because both as a student and a man of my generation, I read these two books inside out. And these two books provide for one thing that is constant, that God created man and that God created the earth and that God has given man opportunity to exploit the resources in the earth for his own good. And one of the instruments for organizing human beings and exploiting resources is politics. Is politics in Nigeria allowing man in Nigeria to be happy?
First of all, I must tell you that I'm privileged to sit with a veteran journalist like you, and to say it very clearly that politics and democracy is the best form of government anywhere in the world, despite the current challenges that is facing and the drawbacks that it has brought to bear on our own people, because what is expected of it to deliver hasn't been fully delivered. So, but like I would say, we're on the process of doing that, and the politics is not as is defined here. Politics is not defined by the like you said, the holy books. Is like a moral compass for how we should treat ourselves and treat others, you know, so that we can fully also benefit from the resources that God has deposited within the confines of our territory. But it has not been so. It has been to the advantage of those who have opportunity to govern. It has been to the advantage of those who family are in government and leaving the majority of the people to wallow in abject poverty. So it has not really brought the full benefit to the people. But it's still the best way to come into government.
The best. A poor person in my village struggling for tomorrow's meal, not having a house, may be struck down by ill-health and cannot afford to go to the next dispensary, how much more a clinic or a hospital? He will tell you that politics has availed him everything but happiness.
The fact is that that person also play part of creating this problem that we have. Because when the time comes to elect people based on their merit, based on their competence and ability, he says he will take 4,000 naira to vote for another person, whether the person has done well or not. That he will take 4,000 to vote for that person, knowing fully well that 4,000, if divided by the 4 years, could be leading to 2 kobo or 1 naira. So the contributory aspect of the electorate to the deficiency that we currently face in our political atmosphere is also part of the problem. Because when you said you leave politics for only politicians, it's not going to work. The fact is that the electorate had the citizens are the most strongest part of any democracy in the world. But our democracy had not been driven by the citizens. It has been driven by those who are supposed to be driven by the citizens and also be in charge of the process. It has been driven by very, very few microscopic people. So what we should do to be able to know that our people must know that parties are not formed to benefit a few, but because parties are public institutions, they are owned by all, and there's not owned by one particular individual. As soon as our citizens get to understand this, and as far as they get to understand this, then I start to see the development of better and responsible leadership. Because the reason why there's so much agitation currently is because our vote has started making some sense. It hasn't made any sense before, and it is not really making full sense now, but it has started making some sense that politicians are getting to know that every man vote will count somehow and to affect how you are governed. And that's why you see that people go about campaigning. But our campaign have not really been stable on a principle-based campaign that must be driven by issues and policies. Our campaign has been driven by individuals, and personal interest, and also pitching one side of the north to another side of the north, one side of the south to another side of this east. So that is what we drive right now. But when we start to run a campaign system and run a politics system that also guarantee that the people knows their right, that the people are well informed, and that resources meant for the state, for the benefit and welfare of the aged, of the vulnerable, and those who are challenged in our society are made available as provided by government, then we start to see that our people will start to come in line and then we start to work. But whatever happens, it must be obviously stated clear that Nigerians, both young and old, must start to understand that political parties are not meant for few people, and that governance is not meant for those who have been elected, that we should all participate in governance. From the day they are elected, from the day they are sworn in, we should start to engage them. Because the reason why democracy is better than dictatorship is because there's opposition. So that the opposition stands like the check and conscience state of the man in government. So and that opposition should not only come from political party, it should not only come from civil society, neither should also only come from, people who are well known in the society. It should come from the ordinary people, by the way they act, by the way they make their statement when those who have been elected to come to see them in their community without performing. If they ask questions, if they engage these people elected, I'm telling you, politicians will sit up and be responsible.
I have a worry here. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not fall into the pit? I ask the question because political parties should be institutions for enlightenment, institutions for recruitment of those who believe in the principle you are preaching. But first you must go out to preach that principle. Very soon, next 3 weeks or thereabouts, everything about the 2019 election would have been settled, except maybe those who are in court on the tribunals. And governments will sit down and begin to run like normal meals. And the political parties go to sleep. They stop the process of recruiting Nigerians into what they stand for. Ideals, ideologies, or perspectives. And each time me, Mwabo, a journalist, if I raise an issue, somebody somewhere says, he's been paid to raise that issue. Political parties as institutions, what are they doing to make sure that this engagement is on a continuous basis? Because the blind does not need the blind.
We're in a very sorry situation. You just made a statement that struck my chord. That if you make a statement, people think you are paid to make that statement. That is even impeding on the freedom of expression to be able to state clearly. It affects the public opinion. It affects every sphere of our lives. Like if there's an issue that a particular government is pursuing, and a person comes to television to pursue that same something against that, they say no, that person has gone this other way. So political parties don't really go to sleep. What we are saying is that for parties to function, as it is, there are strong people that own strong parties. But there could be one, it could be one, and there could be more than one. And in that aspect, when they finance this process of governing this party, they own the process, both those who have been elected. You see people going to present their certificate of return to individuals who are not even known leaders of those parties, maybe like party chairman or that. People go to present their certificate of return on national TV. We see it in newspaper. Where is it done? It is also affecting how that person will govern. That means the person has a godfather somewhere. So all we are saying as inter-party body is that Nigerians must learn to know that political parties are public institutions and they have a life of their own. If everybody in one particular party resign now, that party will not die. The party will continue and Nigerians can take over it. So Nigerians must learn that to put their money where their mouth is. If you can take 10 naira to buy card, buy 8 naira card. Look for party of your choice and be putting 2 naira there. Because the reason why parties are owned is because there are no contributory, participatory democracy as it's supposed to be seen on the side of the citizen.
So there are very few people who can fund the expenses of those parties, own the party, own those who are elected on the platform of those parties, and control what those people do. So we are asking the Nigerian citizen to understand that party, nobody is as powerful as the Nigerian Citizens Office. Nobody is as powerful as that, because without them, there's no this. If you look at when they go to rest, what Nigerians must get to draw their passion and power from is that when election come, they see people who are looking at their vote crossing communities and villages.
Looking for them.
Looking for them. Is that not how that should show them, so we are this important. So we are so important. This is what we will do. You can create either a pressure group or a situation whereby your community say, look, you were here last time. You promised us this, you promised us that. What have you done? Let me tell you how funny our system is. There's no way. By 1999, when we came to this democracy, there was no constituency project. There wasn't. But by 2002, when we were going for another, 2003, when we were going for another election, almost all the National Assembly members lost the election. So those who came back now realized that the reason they lost was that their communities were saying that they didn't provide road, they didn't provide water, whereas the function and responsibility of a National Assembly member is to make laws for the good governance and development of our country. Nobody, no citizen knew that. So National Assembly was suffering from the
failures
of the executive, both in the state and federal. So then I came up and said, okay, let's have constituency project. They are not the one executing it. They will just do it and then put their name executed by so-so senator, so-so has honorable member. So at the end of the day, when they go back, they say, he brought this water, he brought that light. Even taking over the function of most of the executive and the local government chairman, but that does not exist as we speak, because there's no local government system in Nigeria. So this fact is the reason why our systems are not working, because people don't just oppose issues to balance it. Because if the legislature is doing the constituency project, they are taking over the work of executive. But the reason why they are doing that is because the people does not even understand what their functions are. If you look at the outgoing National Assembly and look at the laws they have passed, you give them applause. The things they have done. But the fact is that nobody is seeing that. People are seeing more of the politics that is going on in that National Assembly between the Saraki and his former party and that of the presidency. That's what people see. But if you isolate that problem and isolate Saraki as a person, isolate Dogara as a person, and put all the members in one basket and say, what have they done in their 4 years? Then you will give them applause that they have made laws for the good governance and development of our country. So we must be able to enlighten our citizens from one community at a time to make you to understand that this should function this way, that should function that way, and parties belong to them, and they must take ownership of these parties and ask questions when it's important and participate when it's important. You can't sit in a state and the governor is doing anyhow he likes and you are waiting for the next election. No, you should be able to start engaging the governor to make sure that the governor has failed, then you continue.
But let me draw you outside of this country. Let me take you to outside this country. I'm sure that as a politician, you've been following what has been happening in New Zealand. One insane character decided to define his life along racist lines and went into a people serving God, worshiping God on a Friday. And as at the last count, he killed 50 people. Just in the name of racism and denominating people along the lines of their faith. But their prime minister, or is it their president? Their prime minister has done something the entire world is amazed about and applauding her for. She's shown that the faith is between you and God. Your humanity is the patrimony, the possession of all human beings. So to lose one of us is a pain. She's been going from family to family, from mosque to mosque, from school to school, and telling the New Zealand people that every drop of blood spilled on that ground is a loss to the human race. And everybody who's caused that blood to be spilled is against the happiness of man on earth. But with all due respect to you, with all the campaigns and particularly in Nigeria that have been going on and has just been in these 2019 elections, You flip over the paper here. You hear 23 killed. You flip the other way. You hear 19 killed. You flip the other way. You even see a governor confidently standing up and telling his people that 66 were killed. And then there's a reprisal and 100 killed. Why is it that our politics and our political leadership cannot put humanity into politics? Why have we failed to do that? Both politics and governance.
Is one, it's because of our defective system that we're running. Two, it's because our people are greedy. The politicians are really greedy for power and hungry to extend to think that spilling the blood of another human does not count. Whatever it matters, let's get into power. Because of the level, let me tell you why our democracy, our federalism they are defective. Trump is president. I've been watching him for how many 3 years now. How many governors has driven to a state and reported? As of last count, more than 6 governors have even come to see the president. When will the president have the time to concentrate? To say, oh, the people are killing. It is a fidiboddo federalism, like Ekweremadu called it before. And it's really bad for our system. And we also go to a point that the benefit taken from governance for individual is so enormous that people are willing to go kill and then make the benefit that will stand for 4 generations. But the mistake they have made, that the humanity in us is greater than anything that we're pursuing. And that if you must be in government and think that they should have looked back into history, that there's no empire that have not crumbled. None that you have tried to build in the perfect way, that has not crumbled. Even the one written in the holy books, some of them have crumbled. Then you now look at the fact and say, you are taking money and building for your 4th generation yet unborn. That cannot even stand. Because the only thing a person must be responsible to give to his children and those around him who is governed over is an egalitarian society. Egalitarian society where equality and every other thing reigns. That means if your children come and there's another government in place, they will also benefit. So you must lay that foundation where you see people celebrating and promoting religious division, people promoting ethnic division, specifically calling name of people killed. This brings up heat in the system. And we must call a spade a spade. So some of our governors are irresponsible. They are not in tandem with the reality of human existence. They don't believe on coexisting with other people. And if the citizen also does not even stand up, if you wait for every 4 years, because as we are speaking, if election does not reflect the wishes and aspirations of the people, it's also a problem. Because you continue to reinforce bad people in governance. You continue to put things that are not majorly going to benefit the Nigerian people. So for us, political party must be at the front burner of campaigning for good governance. They must be on the front burner of educating the Nigerian people to know their right. And why do I believe in multi-party democracy? I've been in party administration for a long time. I'm moving about to work out. But the fact is that why do I believe in multi-party democracy? Because it gives voice to more people to participate. And I tell young people out there that they sit at home trying to see that, oh, it's impossible. We can't make it. Why did people like us get involved? How did we become successful? We were children of ordinary people too. But because we participated, the first key in politics is participation. When you get involved, people will notice what you have, your capacity, your ability to deliver, and you grow. Whether you are a light technician, whether you are a cameraman, whether you are a market seller, you should get involved and go get a party card. Whichever party of your choice, because Section 141 of the Nigerian Constitution has given Nigerians so much right that are not being used, that you have the right to belong to a political party or association that will protect your right and interest. It doesn't mention any political party there. So what I'm saying, for this hills to be defeated, there must be huge participation by the Nigerian people.
Participation by Nigerian people. In the course of this conversation, we have come to observe that a few people have the money, they fund the parties, they help the parties to keep going on and all that. You expect me to join a party A, maybe I'll be contributing 5 naira in the month, for instance, so that it becomes our party. Let me use Babangida's mantra, equal founders and equal joiners. But the reality of our economic situation is that there are Nigerians who may not be able to afford 100 naira in 1 month, except they eat off the begging bowl or little handout, and the rest 100 naira will be just to keep it, just in case the man or the woman who helps me with some rice, cooked rice every day, does not give me. And brother, they are not in thousands, they are in millions. Nigeria today is said to be the poverty headquarters of the world. So how can such a hungry person, who is simply seeking for survival, bring out 5 naira, 10 naira, to be an equal joiner of a political party so that he can have a say?
Well, where I have challenge with this discussion, with that narrative, is that there are countries that are also very poor. They have poor population. Kenya, you have Ghana, you have, you know, even India. But their electorate are informed. They know they are right. If like I said, ab initio, if one can buy a credit card of 100 naira 80, and you can be a member of you can be a member of a political party. If you have that, you can use 100 naira even in 2 days. We have more people that have the resources, that very meager resources to pick, than those who don't have at all. But the fact is that most people do not even believe that 10 naira matters to the development of a political party.
You are a member of, you are the chairperson of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Are you getting the political parties? Are you convincing them to move out there to educate me to be a member of that party? Or are they waiting for me to become a billionaire and then I can join them to help sponsor elections?
Yeah, the parties are doing a lot of work. I think it's the citizens that must come to bear. The parties are doing a lot of work. The other day I watched your program, Topper was here, I saw him. And he spoke very well. This party came with their own ideas. They have their own members. We have ASD, we came with social democratic principles. We have NIP, we have YDP. These are parties that have come with major principles to work. But the fact is that if one is doing one and the other is not coming to meet at the middle point, whatever effect or whatever publicity being given will not work. Before this election, IPAC posted every chairman to all the zones. We had what we call advocacy. We went around each of the zone. The one for the southeast was held in Enugu. One for the northwest was in Sokoto. Northeast was in Bauchi. Southwest was in Ogun State. South was in Akwa Ibom. We had a sensitization workshop explaining to Nigerians and telling them the need for political participation, the need for civility in our political system, the need for them to understand that parties are not as powerful as they think, that the citizens are more powerful than parties, and even more powerful than government, because government exists because the citizens exist. So when we start to educate them to make them understand, I think the political education is working, but the speed at which it's working is too low. So for us, we encourage people to be able to wake up and say, look, I'm a young man. As a trader, I understood my right and I went into politics because I didn't want to be governed and say no. I wasn't a bank manager. I wasn't this. As a trader. I run trading system, and I said, look, the best option for me to aspire to show the skills that I have gotten from even this one that I've done, because education comes in various ways. It will go into politics. Because politics, when people say politics, just to try to colorate it in a way that looks bad, is not the truth. Politics is subject of service to the people. There's nothing beneath it that is far-fetched than saying, if you go into politics, you must be willing to serve the people. And the people must also be willing to ask you questions where you are not serving well.
Well, my producer is giving me a signal. So there's need for me to ask you this rather dangerous question.
Okay.
Do you think that Nigerians should support democracy? Is it paying us a dividend?
Democracy had had a setback in our own practice since 1999. There have been attempts to submerge it, to suppress it. It's good, but it's the best form of government anywhere in the world. It gives people, despite its shortcomings as we presently observe in our country, I believe Nigerians should continue to believe in a democratic process. I believe Nigerians should engage the democratic process more. I believe Nigerians should ask more questions. And I believe that Nigerians should sustain democratic practice, because no any other form of government can give us that opportunity like I had with you here today. Because like I told you, if you have seen what the military government have done, you could be walking out of this place and you are picked up. Those things, those elements still exist in our democracy in bits, but it is still done with caution. But with more participation from Nigerian people, it will fizzle away. Because Nigerian people must ask questions without the fear of anybody, without whatever stigma, because we are used to stigmatizing people and saying that one is this, that one is this. Nigeria should still ask deep questions. Why this is this? Because the rule of law, democracy, is built on the rule of law. And there's no rule of law, there's no democracy. Because that is the essence. No matter how ugly that rule of law is, the people, the politicians and people in government must follow it to a logical conclusion, to be able to allow the constitution, which is the grand norm, to detect the character, the attitude and operations of governance.
This thing you are saying, still along this same last question I asked, seems to operate and have relevance with the federal government at the federal level. All eyes, all expectations, all analysis are on the federal government. But so much resources are in the hands of the states. Are they also delivering on the expectations of democracy at that level?
I will say this today and leave here. The issue of our failure of our governance is because the states have failed more. It's because the state has failed more. And the state has failed more because the governors share power with nobody. What has happened between the 8th Senate and this presidency? It doesn't happen in any state. No state assembly can question any governor. They are like puppets in the hands of the governors. And the worst of all it, you have seen more better days in this country than I have seen. You know that governance was driven at the local government level. If I have to come from your own experience. As I speak, there are no local government authority in Nigeria. No local government executive authority. Because the governors appoint and disappoint. Because when they appoint, they remove the person at any time they want. The person does not have, and there's a danger of the state and local government joint account that have also crippled the local government system. When their budget is supposed to be 250 million, the governor can just call the local government, which could be his boy, could be his husband, anybody he wants to put there as a caretaker committee chairman, and gives him 5 million and the man just pays only salary. There's no way that this public health system is working in any local government. There's no way that public schools are effective in any local government. So our problems are actually in the state. But the citizens have already so much concentrated on the federal government that the federal government is overburdened, even with the concentration. If we start to engage our state governors, what are they doing with 2 billion security votes? What is it for the benefit of the people? And people are dying. Why are the roads here not done? And we must also sit down with the federal government and do a national committee and remove from exclusive list and legislative, whatever list that it is, things that are meant to be done at a local level, so that the state government can be responsive and responsible for whatever money that has been given to them. Questions are not asked. Our budget has expanded in the state. People are concentrating in the money at the federal. We must ask the state government question. Let me see our major problem in the state. The governors are emperors. No, nobody can question their authority to spend. They can procure judgment within the state federal judges. They can go and get anything they want done in the state. So we should de-emphasize and reduce our concentration at the central and start to hold the state government accountable and look at their budget and also scrutinize their budget as well as scrutinizing that of the federal government, because there's a problem in the state that is causing us to fall, because the state is a small micro unit of the federal unit. If the unit are not working, I don't expect how the federal will work. So if the federal are responsible to do roads and the adjoining roads in the state are not done, you will see notice failure. So the state must come to play their own part. And also Nigerians in the state must also come to play their own part. There must be more civil engagement in the state that is in the federal. Because I know the Federal High Court, the National Assembly are so liberal because they come from different zones that the president cannot just, smack. But when you come to the state, some states, they almost are the same, they speak the same language, practice the same religion. So it's almost it becomes ineffective for them to engage the governors. So we have a failure at the state assembly level, we have a failure at the local government level. This failure makes the governor so powerful and does whatever he wants.
And he does whatever he wants. At the beginning of this conversation, we made reference to the 2 holy books. Peter, we're also going to end by saying, may God help us.
Amen.
Well, I've been conversing with Peter Ameh. He's the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. a very powerful organ that ought to be also helping us to engage both the political parties and our governments. I'm sure that you could got some takeaway from this conversation, some measure of responsibility which you have, which you owe this country, you and I. Let me, on your behalf, thank Peter for coming to the conversation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, let's meet same time next Sunday, but please don't forget that our corruption story comes immediately after this segment. And also, please follow us online on all our social handles. The issue we are raising is nominate which ministers in the current federal administration that should not return with the president in his second tenure. And tell us why. It is running online at signaturetv.com.ng. Just mention the minister that should not come back and indicate why he should not come back. Edition after edition, before the president announces his cabinet, we'll keep releasing your opinion which ministers should not return and why they should not return. It is your opportunity to also make contribution to making our governance and our government more efficient. Until the same time next week, enjoy yourself. My name remains Mwabozo Njoko. Good afternoon.
My country people, I will welcome una again. Enter the program Corruption Tori. Program where we say shine touch light, put for corruption matter for we country before it disappear, come up for your mind and my mind sake of other things where they happen. My name now for my Goria say. For this Sunday, we go shine I put for we education sector. I don't know whether you don't hear this matter before. For where person go ask you which course you want study, whether na medicine or I been a law or engineering. If you get money, you fit get that course sharp. Abi, you don't ever hear of ministers list or vice chancellor list anytime when they want to do admission for university. Now, because everybody they find this education of university, now why issue of corruption don't enter around well. So today we go chook I put for the way corruption don't took in war hand enter with education sector and how we politicians self they join hand puts. E get some people wey don't check with university education for this country and they happy well say them see forward movement for we system. The number of universities where we get don't grow 20 times past since we independence for 1960 when this country be get only one university for Ibadan and another polytechnic for Yaba, Lagos. But some experts still come not too happy sake of these days. Then they look some political matter and some people eye before they go build university. License for private university don't sit down for some politicians them hand and now who them like them they give them to. Even safe build a public university now just to yarn say waiting politicians promise when them they campaign make them no talk say them no do them when them enter office.
With what we have in Nigeria today, all we need is to expand facilities. If there are universities in Egypt, in Malaysia, in many parts of Asia that have as many as 250,000, 500 students. I think the university with the largest number of students in Nigeria is still not more than 60,000. That is if you have that. It ranges from 40 to 50. So, rather than proliferating universities that can barely survive, because government does not fund universities, but the latest dimension, which is most worrisome, is that we are going into the stage of establishing what they call ICT university, transport university, aviation university, military university. That will further take us deeper into the abyss of degeneracy.
Now, sake of to find political favor or to show we country people say them fit, them just they build university where them not take time to plan well. Them go just carry secondary school building, turn them to university campus. Just say make we safe, talk say them don't fulfill promise where them make during campaign time. And then them go just position some universities for where some big oga politicians they stay. Them know they look the place how it go favor the student, whether it go help them learn what they come there for.
In a class that should accommodate 20 students for close monitoring and supervision, you probably have 50, 60, 100. Open prisons as classrooms. Look, so it's not done. It's not done. So the federal government, because education is on the concurrent list. So both the federal government and states, even the local governments can set up institutions of education, individuals, organizations. So it behoves on all of them, the federal and state governments, to do the needful, create value around our education system, and what happens next.
So we need a university in my senatorial district. It will go to my village. We need a university in my state. It will go to my village, and so on and so forth. That is actually a concrete illustration of corruptive dimension.
Now this political eye service don't open the palaver of no money, when many universities they face so. Sake of them not even plan how the university fit they get money to still they work for future. This one now don't cause them say many of these political universities them no get proper building, things where students need to learn, even teachers them not today at all like that. People where they graduate from this kind of university no go come be like say they finish school safe. Sake of them no get the sabi and skills to hustle for better big economy.
You know the beauty of funding education? It has a cyclical or spiral effect. Once you are able to create value around your education or around your education system, the products of that education system will create value in other sectors of the economy.
Still on still, for the hurry where them use take do this university them, government they sometimes forget to put some kind laws for ground. Come they make the people where they graduate from there get illegal certificate sake of accreditation no day. Some still they find kurukere way to get accreditation for their courses, like to go they borrow equipment keep for the school. When the National Universities Commission officers come, they go come check and make it be like say they don't ready for the course. The names will fill their staff list of some courses where them they find accreditation for. Now lecturers where they visit from other universities come.
We do not only go on accreditation, we go on monitoring. We will monitor them constantly to make sure that they are doing what they are doing and they have what they have. Let me give you a scenario. Before you start a program or a course in any Nigerian university, you will apply to the National Universities Commission. There's a form you fill, is a self-study form, where you will tell us that I want to start, say, mass communication, and I have acquired this equipment. I have opened up these studios. I have recruited this number of lecturers. Then we'll send a team of NUC will send a team of professors in mass communication with NUC staff to go and verify what you said you have on that form.
What actually gives us the greatest worry is that they will start universities without planning for them. Go and look at the 9 newly established universities, the last set under Jonathan administration. Many of them now, they are crying loudly to survive. They are not better than glorified secondary schools. And look at the concrete example. Until last week started to shout, they were graduating students without laws establishing them. They were graduating students
without university law. So which means anybody could establish, could challenge the legality of the certificates they were awarding. That is the reckless height of politicization of education.
There were years gone by, our doctors simply, they were poached. Our lecturers were poached from here. But today, when you graduate, you go outside, you want to do a master's program, in spite of your first degree, they subject you to all manner of humiliations, subject you to taking courses that ordinarily you should not take. That is because there is a question mark on the quality of education at the moment. And I'm not sure any of our universities is among the first 300 in the world.
Apart from the corruption where they scatter the accreditation of courses for university, it still gets the corruption where they chop with specialized universities they go. We go see University of Agriculture where them build to promote correct graduates wey not sabi as them go perfect agriculture matter for this country finish. Them go come, they lobby, they beg, they pursue, make themselves open their own faculty of medicine, law, business admin, or even political science.
Each time we try to raise issues about such vice chancellors, because they have their way of settling them in the right quarters, our voice are dwarfed.
There's a post circulating on WhatsApp at the moment, and it goes like this: that when you want to destroy a nation, you do not throw bombs into that nation. You do not levy a war against that nation. All you need to do is simply tamper with this education system. But once you are able to undermine the education system of a country, you would have sufficiently destroyed the nation.
Well, it happens because probably of the demand for such courses, but then there was a ministerial directive, I'm sure last year, was to sanitize and return all the specialized universities to their specialty. That has been done. But let me also tell you that in as much as we were doing that, we also have realized and we know that knowledge is now multidisciplinary. You see, you may sometimes find a university of, say, technology running low, but there is a low aspect in technology. So it's not clear cut that because they are specialized, they must only run what they are doing. Some universities may try to meet the local demand, may try to run them, but we will always insist that universities stay mainly on course, stay mainly where they are asked to stay. But we cannot 100% stop them from running some courses because they impinge on even their own mandate as a university.
What's in this corruption they cause, they show clear. If they count the first 1,000 universities for this world, one single Nigerian university no go enter the list. When university system don't lose in respect when it begets before and immediately after independence. Nowadays itself, country people they spend millions of dollars every year, say them won't go school for abroad.
It means you are relying on other society to develop you. That development will continue to elude you. Development should be endogenous. We must
spring from within.
Yes, we must spring from within. We must establish a foundation, a basis for our productivity. That is missing. Put a world-class scholar in an empty room and pay that person the highest pay in the world. If that scholar knows what he or she is doing,
he won't take it.
She or she won't take it. So the requisite facilities, the enabling environment must be there. The enabling environment has been missing. I just told you about laboratories without running water, laboratories without constant electricity, laboratories, how do they preserve their specimen?
There's no water. What experiment do you want to? Basic minimal equipment, Bunsen burners, microscopes, they're not there.
Come out for the matter of plenty dollars when Nigerians they spend on education waka for abroad. All these academic staff of we universities them come they go on strike every time to fight this matter of no money where they spoil we university they go. Equipment no day on ground for better learning, and all the university buildings where them build for 19 gogorongo, them don't even spoil finish. Shey you can see say no be only the matter of to collect bribe for admission. The building where them no plan well, the kurukere accreditation of cost system for we university join for inside corruption matter where they chop with university education for Nigeria. And they make them hard, make it do the work of development of the country. Now here we go match break put for corruption Tory. Till reach next week again where we go jam. My name na Ufoma Igoriasi. Una bye bye.